Thank you so much, Allison. Great to be here with you all. As Allison mentioned, I'm new to the Bay Area and new to this career. I did a career change this year, and so I've spent most of my career on the receiving side of philanthropy, and then some in startups and investing. And now I'm trying to figure out how to do philanthropy well. And so I wanted to share some thoughts, a lot from first principles on how to do philanthropy well. And I did not invent this term philanthrocapitalism, but I maybe mean it differently than the few people who have used it before, but I'm gonna define it as the use of all the tools available under capitalism to achieve philanthropic ends. Now, this is the point where, like, if you're a philanthropist, like a normal philanthropist, like you should already start feeling judged a little bit, because we live in a capitalist background. If you're not using all of the tools available under capitalism, then maybe you're not really trying. You're just using some of the tools. So I'm trying to be gentle there, but that's the takeaway from the talk. So why philanthrocapitalism? One is capital efficiency, right? If we just think about the different ways you can give capital to projects or interesting things, the grants, the normal way of doing capitalism or philanthropy, have a property that you lose 100% of the money 100% of the time, right? So you better really, really like what you got for that, right? And that is fine in some cases, but even if you do like sort of a non-market investment, a below market rate investment, you have some expected return from that investment, and some of the time you're going to recuperate some or all or multiple on the money, and then you can reinvest that in your philanthropic activity. So capital efficiency is like a huge motivator for why you might want to do this. Another reason is that an enormous fraction of human welfare gains comes from companies, right? Companies are really good at scaling innovations that so that they reach the mass market and so that they affect people's lives. And if you're just like not playing in that space, maybe that's a blind spot that you should think about. Is like, well, most of the gains come from companies, and we're not even touching that. I think a competitive environment wrought by capitalism imposes certain kinds of discipline. So if you are, I see both kinds of pitches. I see philanthropic pitches, I see investment pitches. And what's striking to me, one of the things that's striking to me is that in the purely philanthropic pitches, like people pad their budgets, like a lot. And in the more investing pitches, early stage pitches, like the founders, like they're like, I don't want to raise too much money this round, right? Because they know that can bite them later. If you raise too much money, you could have a down round in the future, and that imposes all kinds of negative consequences. Many other kinds of discipline are lost when you're just like purely in philanthropic world. And then lastly is the scale of capital requirements. Every once in a while, someone will come to me and be like, Eli, I have this idea. It's like trillions of dollars of human welfare, but the capital requirements are just too big for our venture. And that's like not possibly true, right? Like philanthropy can write big checks, but the venture ecosystem has the capacity to fund things at like billion-dollar levels in some cases for AI and fusion companies. So if you really want to go big, you're going to need venture capital at some point. So now let's look at it through the other lens. Like, what can philanthropy do that venture can't? One is invest with higher risk tolerance, and I think there's a lot of cases where like a VC will look at something, they'll be like, okay, this like looks really cool, it looks like it could be a big win. Just like the risk doesn't quite get there. Like it's too risky for us, and we won't do it. And that's something that a philanthropist can look at and say, you know what, I'm fine with this. This is like a net socially beneficial bet. Like I don't have LPs to answer to. I'm willing to do this. Philanthropists can think systemically. We can think about like what is the change in the world that we want to see, and what are all the pieces that have to be put in place to make that happen, and how can we target that, sort of like chip off like one piece at a time from a bunch of different places. That's generally not going to be like a good fund strategy if you're a VC. Like you can't really sell that to LPs. Like I have this overarching goal that that's going to require investing in diverse spaces to meet a certain need. And finally, the thing that we can do as philanthropists is we can put our thumb on a scale. It can just be something that we think is a great team and an interesting idea, and we have no idea if it'll work, but we just like want them to shoot their shot and just like have a chance to do it. And it's I think rare that you're going to see a for-profit investor go let's say, oh, I just want them to shoot their shot, and I'm willing to invest in that way. So tools for philanthrocapitalists. Obviously, we have grants. Normal grants is like the sort of the mainstay of philanthropy. We should still do those. There's also this idea for recoverable grants that some people are starting to use or have used for a while. If the project ever creates value in the future, you can say, well, we'll claw back some of that value for us, but no equity multiples or anything like that. You can also invest directly on the cap table of a company. And this is something that, I think a lot of philanthropies don't even really think about in the context of their mission, right? Obviously, like a lot of endowments have to invest in order to manage their endowment, and they don't do it for mission-related reasons. And so these are two different kinds of investments that you can do. And the first one, program-related investments, that's actually, those are investments that count towards your qualified distribution requirements. I'm going to move kind of fast here. Loans. Most people think about non-forgivable market rate loans, but there's actually this 2x2 matrix of you can do forgivable or non-forgivable, and you can do market rate and non-market rate loans. And those are tools that we have used at Astera. Loan guarantees. I'm excited for Matthew Cullinan to be here to talk about his project that we're working with him on using DAF funds for loan guarantees. And the last one I'll mention is incubations. So this is something I think that philanthropists have not really leveraged as a tool, but could be used more. And I'm getting the signal, so that's all, folks.
Are these strategies that are mostly used in for-profit industry fundraising, or can they also be used for academic research fundraising?
I think that the question that I would have is, for any academic research you want to fund, is there going to be value on the other side of that research, right? And if there is value on the other side of that research, then it's an open question of like who should capture that value or how should that value be distributed. And obviously, we want some value to flow to the public and have public benefit, but if the university is going to keep the IP and so on, like you want to structure it in a way that that makes sense in terms of the capital efficiency requirement. Like, why shouldn't that money, flow back through your endowment and to do other philanthropy? So you would want to think about, like, could we set up a structure that enables that value to be captured?
I got one.
Yeah.
Hey, Ilan from Aria. This is something I've been thinking about. I don't know if this will resonate, but we talk a lot about incentives. And when you talk about different mechanisms, there is a chance for the mechanism, right? The capitalist mechanisms lean into some capitalist incentives that you can template against. But then there's like this core incentive of an individual of just like, why are they in the game? And I'm just wondering, like, which of those do you think is more important in terms of outcomes, like the core or the templated incentives?
Like, absolutely, like, personal determination is like the number one factor that I would look at for someone that you want to give money to, whether you are doing it philanthropically or like as a for-profit investment. So like, I would say it's something that's not really modulated by what kind of money you're giving them. You should not give money to people who are not determined either way.
Yeah. But I think one of the things that's interesting about the capitalist structure is they tend to then template like drivers for those incentives. You talked about like, let me not raise too much money, but someone who's got like, yeah, I'm just wondering how powerful a tool that can be to overcome, whether they're driven by money or not, right?
Let's talk offline because it's late. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eli. But you'll be here all day, correct?
That's right.
Thank-